Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I have a special guest coming to us all the way from Sydney, Australia, Ms. Dina Gofman, and I really like the idea of her business because I saw some content that she had on LinkedIn, so I am very interested to jump in and talk about her business. But before we talk about her business, let's welcome her to the show. Welcome to the show, Dina.
Thank you, Terrell. It's a really great opportunity to be here. So thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to have you on the show. Now, before we jump into your business, I'd love to hear a little bit about what was your background before starting this business?
Yeah, so I was an auditor actually. I started in audit for KPMG, as most grads, dream to do, I guess. And did that for about 5.5 years, and basically said, "No, I'm done." And that was during the GFC when it was a really tough time for all, and work quadrupled, and reputations for a lot of companies fell apart. And being an auditor during that time was hell, probably is the word I'd use. And I decided, you know what, let's just put the feelers out and see what happens. And I actually started using LinkedIn, which was very new at the time, and got actually headhunted through LinkedIn, which was a bit of a bizarre concept at the time, into project accounting of all things, which I knew nothing about. And it just sounded cool because it was working for the Navy, right? Or a naval subcontractor engineering company called Thales at the time. Looking after ships and really, defense force type projects, which was amazing, right? So being placed in that sort of environment out of audit and financial services was really cool. Then I jumped into banking from that, also in project accounting, to be part of establishing a new division in project accounting. And after now doing that 3 times, I kind of went, you know what, there's a better way of doing this. This is not a good way of kind of going in and out of companies and trying to do things from scratch. Let's kind of step back and actually see what the problem in industry is, where a sort of finance and project managers not really listening to each other. Let's fix that underlying issue, and that's where Project Accounting Australia started from.
Nice, nice. Now, one of the things that I'm always interested in is how people, how do you feel going from, working for other companies to then making that transitioning into starting your own business? How did that feel?
I'm actually doing both at the same time. So I'm actually still working for corporate, and I am building this business on the side. It's really liberating to be able to work on your own projects, and even if it isn't, part-time, but building those networks of people who I can help and who can help me has been an absolutely amazing journey over the past 3 years. So it's definitely a jump that I would recommend, even if it is a side hustle for now, but something to look forward to in the future.
Gotcha. So how do you manage that? I mean, because when you're running a business, you got to think almost like you're thinking from a different part of your brain. So how do you manage to keep all that straight?
Yeah. So I actually work part-time, so I work 4-day week at my corporate job, and I take 1 day to spend both of my daughter and work on my business, and of course the weekend. So it's like 3 days work for myself, 4 days work for someone else to pay the bills. But really, it's kind of resetting that mindset. Let's say after 7 p.m., I put my daughter down and actually start concentrating on my own thing, and really building up those ideas, talking to people who are willing to talk, and people are a lot more willing to talk now that COVID is on, and, people have a lot more free time. So it's been really quite an interesting journey trying to sort of break my brain apart into multiple areas at the same time, and it's good. It's kind of challenges you in a great way.
Gotcha, gotcha. So what was it like, I mean, when it really came time to developing that side hustle to where it's like, okay, all right, you had an idea, now I got to figure out how to build a business around this idea. What was that
Yeah.
process like?
It's still going. So that process has been going for about 3 years, and that I keep on obviously changing things around. We built a great course called Project Budgeting for agilists, and that didn't take off as yet. So what we did was then kind of pivoted and went, well, you know what, let's fix the accounting issue first, and let's approach the accountants first and see whether they'd like to really explore what Agile is all about. So we have been incredibly lucky to now work with Chartered Accountants Australia ANZ, which is your kind of CPA equivalent over in the US. And that partnership took off after about a year of me kind of coveting them. And that had come about because of, you know, the partnership I've been and mentorship I've been almost part of over the past couple of years with Access Agile, and they've been incredible in just kind of mentoring me into this sort of role in that, because they see huge potential in this. So yeah.
Awesome. So now when you think about, your business, what are the specific services and product offering that, customers are looking for when they contact your business?
Yeah, so generally a lot of people are looking to solve immediate problems, right? So what they're looking for is some form of coaching or mentoring or consulting to really bring them across where they are, dealing with an immediate issue, because nothing is more immediate than now. So we help coach them and solve the immediate issues, and then sort of try to bring them into the next stage, and that is really kind of reshaping and reframe working their current ways of working, and we do that through education. So we've got 2 courses running. We've got books that we recommend and tools that we recommend. So a lot of software tools that are available to really help out with the current business that structures that they're probably and issues that they're probably encountering.
Gotcha. So when you think about the customers that have done business with you, what's some of the type of feedback that you usually hear from them, after they, use your product or your services?
Why didn't I do this sooner is probably the the biggest point of feedback. And it's a lot of the agile folk that have come through our courses have kind of gone, I have not realized this at all. I can't believe that we've been missing all of this. So,
Wow.
and they come back into their organizations and kind of go, we need to get finance involved in this and bring them across, because that's the bridge that we're trying to build between your project managers, product owners, and accountants to actually talk the same lingo and understand each other. So that's really the biggest product offering that we've got. Yeah.
Awesome. So where can people find you online or on social media?
Yeah, so projectaccounting.com.au is the website. Otherwise, we've got a YouTube channel, Project Accounting Australia, or follow me on LinkedIn at just Dina Gofman. And I'm posting a lot of articles and interesting information for people who want to know.
Awesome. So when you think about the future, what's your goal with, project accounting?
The goal is awareness at this point in time, right? So it's the building awareness of people realizing that this is a problem that can be solved. A lot of organizations put this into the too hard basket. It's like, how do you recognize benefits? Well, there is a way of doing that, right? So, and a lot of organizations kind of go, oh yeah, we'll just do something in Excel and figure that out later. But there's actually a way of doing this. So that's really the goal, is actually being proactive as opposed to reactive to the current challenges you're having with project accounting and agile and waterfall type ways of working in your organizations.
Awesome. Now, when you think about, your journey, because this is something that I think is an amazing part of, being an entrepreneur, is that you're exposed to learning so many different areas. Was there any part of building your business that was kind of a new challenge, whether it was the marketing side or the sales side, or whether if it was, the bookkeeping side or just the
Yeah.
product and process? Were there any parts that just stood out to you?
Well, bookkeeping, we're accountants, right? We can totally do that. But anyway, I think sales was and still is the biggest challenge for me, in that I know in America it's a lot more, easier to kind of think about sales and talk about sales. You're almost born to do it. In Australia, we're really like, oh, I don't want to sell anything to anyone. I just want to help, right? So I've had to really kind of step back and really think about, how do I not put it out as everything's a sales pitch, I really, really am genuinely trying to help the industry at this point in time. And I don't, for me, it's not so much the sales as really getting people to want to solve this with me, right? And I want to solve it with them. So, and that's kind of the biggest challenge for me, is that sales aspect, and that, the network building of people kind of willing to talk to someone who is slowly building her network up as well. So it's quite a challenging sort of aspect as an entrepreneur. But I have to say, the amount of help out there has been enormous. From books, I'm currently reading Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss, which is awesome. Look it up. It's got like a whole bunch of things of how do you actually do everything in life in general. And it's been a huge helping tool. But I've been part of University of New South Wales Founders Labs, and they've been a huge amount of help. And Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand have an entrepreneurs group, which is basically a bunch of accountants trying to build different types of businesses. And it's like a little group of us try to figure it out between ourselves and giving each other ideas, and it's a good little feedback board as well. So that's been really awesome to be part of. But yeah, it's hard to be doing this, and hard to be almost doing this kind of alone to a certain degree. As a co-founder, you have different sort of strengths, but as your co-founder may step in and step out, you find yourself almost alone sometimes. So yeah.
Gotcha. So before we wrap up, one question that I like to ask every guest that comes on is, when you think about your journey and you think about the things that you're working through, that you're learning now, what's two pieces of advice that you would share with other entrepreneurs?
Oh, I've got so much advice. I mentor a lot, by the way. I'd say just give it a shot, right? At the end of the day, what's the worst thing that can happen? And usually it's not as bad as you think it is. And that's probably the first piece of advice. Just try it. What's going to happen? Say you fall flat on your face, get back up, nothing really happened. And the second one is really just have no fear around just contacting people, right? So reaching out to your network, talking to various individuals, because you'd be surprised how many people are totally willing to help you out. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dina, thank you so much for coming on the interview to talk about your background, talk about your business. We'll definitely leave some links in the description so people can find your business. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom on the show.
Thank you so much, Terrell. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.